It's always awkward when it first starts. I'm just like,
say something. Let me know when we're live.
Oh, we're live. Oh, I didn't know that's what you're waiting for. We're live. Hello. We're live. Oh, I forgot. I gotta put my post-it note so I can't see how many people are here. Makes me nervous. Oh no, I can still see it. So have you been streaming any games lately, Jeff?
I have not, which has been a real bummer. I've done a couple of like card opening streams and things like that, and my movie podcast. We've done those, but I haven't done any game streams because I've just been so busy getting ready for my family to come into town to visit. And this would have been the only night this week that since they're in town now. But you and I are doing a show, so that counts.
It counts. I know, that's why it counts. I feel kind of bad also because, I got my, affiliate, and I've been getting subs, and I was playing Star Wars, 3 times a week, and then I started getting ready for this Germany trip, so I haven't played Star Wars, at all. I did do a crafting stream with Kat, but, yes, I have not been streaming either, so I suck, but...
I will be streaming next week, at least a little bit, and then for sure on my birthday, I'll be doing my second annual birthday stream.
April 15th, everybody.
Woo!
Woo! I'll be in Germany.
Yeah, but Chase and Ryan are going to be playing some games with me. We're currently planning on doing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's the new game from Gearbox. Gang Beast, which is on Game Pass right now. It's like a weird sort of wrestling fighting game, but the controls are really wonky and it's just kind of silly.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And then gonna play some Overwatch. Try to get back into that before Overwatch 2, whenever that is happening. And then I was thinking some Overcooked would be good as well.
Yeah.
And I apologize, in advance to everyone watching that I'm going to be, rubbing a tissue against my nose because the pollen in Texas is just a killer right now. I'm so glad I get to park my car in the garage because I looked out at my dad's car and it is green, but his car is not green.
Yeah. I was driving down the road the other day and Evan's like, "Look at that green car." And we drove past it, and I was like, "Oh, that's a gray car. It just looks green because of all the pollen." Even my car is under a covered area, and it is still, completely green.
Let me pop out this chat so I can put it where I can see it.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
It's Calamity Ganon, right?
Calamity Ganon. Yes.
Hello.
I don't know if I... Oh my gosh, it's Kat.
There's Kat. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Kat.
You were about to say something?
I don't remember.
Already escaped your brain?
Yeah, too late.
We're both operating on, I think, limited brain capacity right now. Because, at least 50% of your brain is dedicated to your upcoming trip. And
yes,
I've used all of my brain power wrangling my niece and nephew the last 3 days.
Jeff, guess what? I had a positive interaction with a child the other day.
Whoa, how is that not the topic of the show?
I know. So, previously I had went to a restaurant and I like to sit outside on a nice day. They had a patio and I went and sat outside and they had these 4 children that were running around screaming, and I was ruining my whole experience. I was I'm just gonna go inside. These people really suck. And so then I left and I was see, this is why kids suck, because they just run around and just scream and they're so obnoxious. But so then I went to a different restaurant and with Kat was there and we were sitting there and there was this little girl sitting behind us and she had pink sparkly boots, which I have the exact same boots except mine are silver and purple, but hers were pink. So I tell her, "Oh my gosh, I really like your boots." And I'm wearing a My Little Pony shirt, obviously. And she goes, "I like your shirt." And I said, "Yes, I'm really into 5-year-olds fashion." And she says, "Yeah, I'm 5. I was like, yes, see, exactly. I need to start designing 5-year-old fashion wear because I'm totally in the know for them.
Yeah, you're the expert on dressing
Yes.
like a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, totally my style. So it was great. That and I have been thinking about that, you know? Good positive child interaction.
That's good.
Yeah.
At this rate, if you've had one positive interaction with a child in the last 30-ish years,
Yeah.
so if that rate continues, then you should have another one. If it's going exponentially, we'll say when you're 45.
Yeah, but I'm not going to purposely put myself around any children. Well, just let it come like organically. All right, Jeff, you ready to start the show?
I sure am.
Okay.
Let's do this. Let's start off
Well,
with something fun.
we're going to start with something fun. Something fun. One of my favorite shows. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Woo!
Yes, season 15. I don't know, when did it come out? I'm not sure when it came out, but
I can tell you the first one came out December 1st, 2021.
nice. So we were discussing this show because the first episode is all about the pandemic and how they completely caused it.
I loved that concept for the episode, and it makes perfect sense that they would do that for Always Sunny. That they would find a way to make it so that everything that went wrong was somehow related to them. And I think my favorite thing was how they, throughout the whole episode, they kept talking about, our guy didn't get a fair shot.
Yeah.
Our guy got a raw deal here, and everyone, of course, assumes they're talking about President Trump, but instead it's Kanye West.
Yeah. I assumed they weren't talking about Trump, but I wasn't really sure who they were talking about. But then they were like, "What? It's Kanye West?" I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, totally get it. That's funny." But I don't.
Feels like such a lifetime ago that
Yeah,
Kanye West was running for president.
yeah. I totally forgot about that. That's why I did not realize it was coming. But I had a little trouble with this episode because I didn't know what a PPP loan was. And so the reason why that's funny is because apparently during the pandemic, a lot of criminals applied for PPP loans. And so they gave out like all this money to like criminals that were starting, new businesses. Yeah. So that's why it was funny. So I had to get that explained to me, but my favorite part, of course, was what are they called? The Dee and Charlie's varmint clothes or whatever.
Oh yeah, varmint garments.
Varmint garments, yes, varmint garments. So I love how they were sewing, and he's like screaming about the pelts because Charlie. He's very crafty. He always, knows how to do stuff. So the fact that he's like sewing and he does it so well, but then he's the one that made the costume for the guy that did the Capitol riots.
The buffalo hat.
Yeah. It was really clever. And then the whole motor oil as the hair product, Mayor Giuliani's hair running.
Mayor Giuliani's hair.
Yeah. It was just
like, again, I think because this came out on December 1st of 2021, and now it's 2022, and so this is so long ago. It took me a second to realize where they were going with the motor oil hair.
Yes.
Thing.
Yeah.
I did, and then when we got there, I was like, "Oh, right."
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I feel like the whole episode was me being like, where are they going with this? Because I don't remember all these past events, but yeah, I cannot believe that was like almost a year ago, the Capitol riot thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
In June, which I guess it's only March, but still. Yeah, but have you been watching the rest of the season, or did you only watch that episode?
I finished the whole season.
Okay, I haven't finished the whole season. They just got to Ireland and Charlie like met his pen pal or whatever, and so far that's going well. So I'm just waiting to see what terrible thing is possibly going to happen. So I'm living on that edge right now. But
it gets pretty weird.
My favorite was the Lethal Weapon 7, and they were trying to make it politically correct, and I laughed so hard at their like, we're going to do a tsunami. Oh, but we can't call it tsunami. It has to be like, non-racial. And then
Yeah.
they were like, oh, this giant tidal wave. And then the guy was like, oh, it's an act of God, but like any God, not a specific God. Yeah. And I just thought that was so funny. I laughed. That's been my favorite part of the season so far.
I was late coming to this show. I think I've told you about this before, but maybe not on the show. But like when the show was first new and everyone was talking about it, it was so like every episode was just a bunch of people yelling at each other, and they're horrible people, and like I did like it reminded me of like an angrier Seinfeld, right?
Yes, it's definitely an angrier Seinfeld, but I love Seinfeld, so that's probably kind of why I like it.
Right. So, but I didn't watch it then because I was just like, it's just I could only watch like 1 or 2 episodes, and I thought they were like humorous, but I wasn't able to just like keep watching because I was like, I start to get a headache. But then I watched behind the scenes like a blooper reel for the show. Like it just came up in my suggested videos on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And like it turns out like a whole lot of everything they do in the show is completely ad libbed.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that, and so that kind of gave me a new appreciation for it. So like even when they're yelling, like yeah, that's organic. That they just
Yeah.
it's not like it was written in the script. Everyone yells at each other.
And I like that because that just means they're so good at their characters that it just because I will say that's one thing about the show is that you're like, oh yeah, Dennis would really do that. That is so in character. Like they understand their characters so well. So it is funny that it's ad-libbed because they just means they understand how every character would react in that situation.
Well, and it kind of makes you impressed by Mac and Dee, the actors that play them, whose names are escaping me, Rob McElhenney and whatever. In any case, I'm impressed by their acting because they are real life married.
Yeah.
And they treat each other so badly
Yeah.
in the show. And I think like I would find myself breaking character a lot. To like, I'm sorry, honey.
Yeah. I didn't mean it. You're just so easy to make fun of. But that was my only complaint so far is I did appreciate the skating rink episode because it's before they really started hanging out, so they're all actually like really nice people.
They're like normal people.
Yeah. But then how they made Dee because I like that her name was Sweet Dee because she actually used to be nice. But she hit her head and then suddenly she became really mean. I was like, I don't know, okay. I don't really. They could have done something more clever than that. But yeah, I thought
that was funny, but
yeah,
but not yeah. It's not definitely not the high point of that episode.
Oh yeah, but there are some good parts of that episode. I'm definitely enjoying season 15 so far.
Well, it's only 8 episodes.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So crazy short season. I'm sure that's because of the pandemic making things harder to shoot. But so I'm curious. Like, will they in the next season? Will they go back to having a longer form, or is this the new norm?
I hate how everything's getting shorter. It sucks. Oh well. I wonder if because I guess going to Ireland, I wonder if that was like a big budget thing. But they have
sure
to be
expensive, but
they have to be making so much money. That show has been around so long and it's pretty popular.
Oh, yeah. People love it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And the Ireland episodes are fantastic.
Oh
so
really? Okay.
I really love them.
I'm in for a treat then.
They do this. Another thing that they've started doing in the later seasons with this show is have like some emotionally resonant episodes that are also still hilarious. I don't know if that makes sense. Like they're like there is some real emotion for the characters, but also they're still the same characters, so they're still involved in like really messed up crap.
Yeah.
So I think you're gonna enjoy these last few episodes, and it just sucks that there's not that many of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Charlie has met his pen pal, and everything is going so great. So yes, I just imagine that something terrible is about to happen. So I'm curious to see what it is.
Should be good.
All right, ready for the next one, Jeff?
Yes. What's up next?
What is up next? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
We do have to ask. Season 15 so far. What would you rate it?
I'm gonna give it an 8. It's pretty good. An 8. 8 from me.
I think I would probably also give it an 8. I would give it higher if there was more of it.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in that only 8 episodes because I'm already on like episode 5 or 6, and
Yeah,
you're just used
you're
to
almost done.
these
You've got 3
storylines.
episodes left.
I know that sucks. No, I'm sad. Well, I guess I'm glad you told me because I feel like I've been like, okay, next episode. Oh wait, no,
Oh,
there's
that's it.
none.
It's over.
Yeah. Aw. Okay. Well, at least I know what I'm getting myself into.
Okay, so
All
go ahead.
right. Okay, so the next one you suggested because Jeffrey is a very big fan of watching like the Oscars, and he watches all the movies every year, everything that's nominated. And this one did not win Best Picture, but it was nominated.
Yes, and it did win Best International
It
Film.
did. So the movie is Drive My Car. What country is this from? Because a lot of the characters, they all speak different languages, so I wasn't really
Yeah,
sure.
so it's from Japan, is where it's ostensibly from. The director is Ryusuke Hamaguchi. And the reason I picked this one was because I figured of all of the Best Picture nominees, because this is the foreign language film, this is the one that's gonna get the least people talking about it just in general.
Yeah.
Because most Americans aren't going to go out and watch a foreign language film, which is teach their own. But I think you miss out on some really good movies if you do it that way. But yeah, it's from Japan, but like the whole thing with this movie is the main character is an actor slash director for theater, stage productions, and his whole shtick is doing productions of classic plays where all of the actors in the play are played by people of different nationalities or speak different languages. So, and then above the play, they have like the translation above the stage for the audience to read, which I think is kind of a really cool concept.
I definitely thought that was a cool concept.
And
Especially when they
that's
had the character that spoke sign language. So I thought that was a
yeah,
really interesting, unique way of adding a language that nobody really would have thought about.
but so you have all of that stuff going on with the stage production, but the other main part of the show is that the main character in the beginning of the movie uh, catches his wife cheating on him, but he doesn't confront her about it, and then uh, she passes away very suddenly shortly thereafter, and then we jump forward in time to this stage production, and he's dealing with the emotional fallout of that. uh and it's this is very like this is an I don't know, it's kind of like an emo-y sort of
Yeah.
movie.
I thought that's why you suggested it because it's pretty depressing. It's like, oh, Jennifer will definitely like this one.
Well,
So,
that is part of why I suggested it, is
okay.
because it is it's sad, but it's also not like completely sad. It's like a
Yeah.
lot of working through sadness,
Yeah.
and working through uh decisions you made and how that all changed the outcome of things. Like if he had talked to her sooner, would he have had closure on stuff, that sort of stuff. But yeah, so I this was my favorite of the Best Picture nominees. In addition to it being beautifully shot, I also just really thought the story was cool and the performances were excellent, and it was really really unique. And honestly, like thank God it won Best International Film, because like I can't imagine a more international film than a film where there's like 10 different languages used in this movie.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jen?
So I thought the concept was very interesting. I had no idea what it was about. So, going into like, seeing him do the different languages in the play, I thought that was really cool and really unique. Um, I am not really a fan of like slice of life stuff.
And this
So
is a little slice of life.
it's very there's like not really there's not really like a plot, there's no action, there's no like good guy bad guy. It to me it's completely like slice of life. It's kind of just about his everyday life, and literally it's about a woman driving his car and his experience like being in the car with her and her driving him to and from work and the house. And I don't when it ended, I was like, I mean, I just felt like it wasn't for me. Like I recognized that it was a good movie, but I really didn't think it was for me. But I like thought about it, and the next day I was kind of thinking about it still, and I was like, I really liked it. I think the fact that I'm still thinking about it, I really liked like the ending. Are we doing spoilers?
Well, we can. You just would want to warn people that we're going to spoil stuff, but
Okay. So spoilers, everybody. Okay,
we'll go
so
like this again when you can come back.
yeah. Okay, so the the only reason why I want to spoil this is because this is the part that made me like the movie. When you go through this whole thing, and it's about him. He didn't want to confront his wife because he did love her so much, but
And he still believed she loved him as well.
yes, and he just thought her sleeping with people was just part of her process to really like get her
Which
creativity
I
out
guess we
there.
should say that's his wife was a script writer for television scripts, and her the way she got inspiration for her shows was she would have these crazy ideas uh while having sex with her husband, or as it turns out, with other partners as well. And she'd have these crazy ideas in the euphoria of her enjoyment.
Well, that's why I
That
liked it, was because the husband, all the way through the entire movie, the reason why the relationship was so special was because she did that with him. Like, yeah, she was sleeping around, but she did these like epiphanies and wrote stories and like told him all of these facts. He makes this whole speech about I was in charge of writing her ideas down because she would just tell me and she would forget. So I would write it down to remember it for her. But then you find out that she did that with everybody. So this was his like one last thing he was really holding on to that made the relationship special, but it wasn't true. And then so he like finds out that she did that with like everybody. So there's like this whole long explanation with like the story, and he's interested to find out like how the story ends because he never got that before she died.
that's
And
the part that I thought you would be like the mystery of what the rest of the story was.
yeah, but I didn't really like the story.
It was a weird story.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like I really appreciated the movie. Oh, I guess I'm done with spoilers. Um, I really appreciated the movie. It just kind of one of those things that wasn't for me, but like the acting was amazing. Like every actor, even though you couldn't really understand what a lot of them were saying, I thought all the acting was really great, especially the girl that drove the car.
Yeah.
I really liked her character a lot.
And I kind of love that yeah, you don't speak the language, so it can be a little hard to follow, but that's also kind of the point of the way he does the stage productions in the movie. For like he does Waiting for Godot and Uncle Vanya are the two plays that we see him perform in the movie, and both of them have the other languages going on. And so I think it's more about understanding the emotion of the story more than it is necessarily understanding the actual like words.
Yeah.
And so like that's the way it is both in the movie, like with the plays he's making, but then also the movie itself for a person who doesn't speak Japanese or Korean Sign Language or Russian or any of the languages that they use in the movie. Uh, you kind of get the same impact because you're having the same experience as the audience members in his plays, which I think is really really cool.
Yeah, definitely a really cool, unique concept. And like I said, the acting was really great. And I do feel like it wasn't for me, but I would definitely recommend this movie to anyone that likes foreign films or does like slice of life kind of things. So I'm really glad I watched it, even though I don't see. I want to say I would give it a 9, even though it's not for me. I can totally see why anybody who likes this kind of movie, this is a great movie. And even though it's not my typical genre, I'm still glad that I watched it and I thought it was worth watching. So, not something I would watch again, but
So I gave it a 9, personally. and I do love the movie. But yeah, it is like a lot of what you say is that it's just, even if you don't fully resonate with everything that's happening in the story, there is something special about the movie that you can still appreciate overall. And I think among all of the Best Picture nominees this year, this is the most unique movie. And the movie that won Best Picture, Coda, was a good movie. I really enjoyed it, but it feels like a little bit of a, like classic Hollywood feel good story type of deal, which again can be really enjoyable and was, but it's also not that special to me. This Coda is special in that it's a movie about a deaf family with a daughter who can hear, and she wants to join the choir and go to college for music and all the drama that ensues from that with her family. Uh, so like it was a good movie, but it also was like if you could see where the story was going to end up, from the beginning.
Yeah.
Whereas movies like this one, since it is like a slice of life, there was no guarantee that there was going to be a happy ending of
Yeah.
any kind, and it doesn't really have a happy ending. It has an ending, but
Yeah.
it
And it's a good ending.
it's a good ending.
It's a good ending.
But
Yeah.
it's not like a everything is great now
Yeah.
ending.
Which is why maybe that's why I liked it so much. There wasn't super happy, so I thought it
But
was really good.
of all the best picture nominees this year, like I thought this is the one that you might like the best, because the other ones are, again, they're all good movies, but like none of them felt like super special to me, except for maybe the ending of Power of the Dog. The ending for Power of the Dog was so good that it almost made up for how terribly boring the rest of the movie was.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have to watch that one then.
I mean, yeah, give it a shot. Download it on your phone to watch on your flight. There you
Yeah,
go.
I know. I'm gonna need something to do. Hopefully, I'll sleep because we get there and it's like gonna be like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gonna want to get there and like do stuff. So I'm gonna try to sleep most of the flight.
But the Oscars in general, I know you didn't watch,
I did
but
not watch.
the entire world is aware of,
Yeah.
you know, a big moment in Oscars history. And you and I have talked a little bit about it, but did you want to say anything on the slap? Or is it just like, okay, let's move on at this point?
Well, the conversation is not really over. Like on Twitter, people are still talking about it and people are still like giving their opinions, whether they like agree with it or don't agree with it. So I don't know. My immediate reaction was like, I don't know. I guess I didn't care. I mean, to me, the thing that really okay, my first reaction was like, yeah, him making fun of his wife who has like alopecia, like that's pretty messed up. I probably like you just see her face, like she was so upset. So, I mean, and I'm not in that camp of like physical violence is never the answer. Like I don't give a crap about that. I think it was like a little immature. And then I started reading, people are like, oh, well, he's made fun of her a lot in the past. So I can see how that buildup would have been like, it wasn't just this one incident. He did make a joke about her not being invited to the Oscars in like 2016 or
2016.
yeah. So I can see how, that would have escalated to be like emotional. But then I was reading about it and he's only ever made like 3 comments about her ever. It's not like it's a constant, trolling her on Twitter
Yeah.
or like, it was only like 3 comments like ever, so it really was not super excessive in my opinion to warrant like, so everything that I've been like, oh well, maybe this is why, has been totally like not been the
So
case.
I'm kind of in the camp of like I don't mind talking about it, but I also like I don't think it's as big a deal as a lot of people made it out to be. Like people said it's the worst moment in Oscars history. That's certainly not a good moment in Oscars history, but there are definitely worse ones. But I don't know. I can see why he was angry about it, but I also think like, okay, dude, you're at the Oscars. Keep it
Well,
together.
I definitely thought it was like immature. Like,
Yeah,
who
it was
really does
childish.
that? And then my biggest complaint about the whole situation wasn't even, well, 2 big complaints. about it was not really that it happened, but the fact that he did it and then like security didn't do anything, like nobody escorted him out. He just went and sat back down and then got like an award later. So there was
Apparently, they asked Chris Rock if he wanted Will to be removed, and he said no.
well, of course.
So
I mean,
so they
he
did.
really he handled that like a champ. Like he took that
He really
slap.
did.
He really like I was impressed by he totally like kept his composure. He didn't like freak out and then he kind of just like kept going. So and he didn't press charges or anything afterwards. So he really like handled that like a champ. But to me, the biggest reason why I am upset with it is because that's all anybody was talking about after that. And so like all the films that won, all the actors that won, like everybody that won an award after that, like nobody cared. Everybody is so interested in this slap instead of, giving credit. They
The
just
movies.
totally took the thunder out of like everybody else. And so I feel that is really like my biggest disappointment and why I wish that it hadn't have happened, whether it was morally right or wrong. Like,
The day after, I went on a brief Twitter rant. Not that I have a ton of followers or anything, but I went off about how like the Oscars, they need to decide who this show is for, because if they're doing it for the general audience, then like the general audience isn't watching these movies.
yeah,
like, like the average American has seen, has probably seen zero of the Best Picture nominees. At most, they've seen one or two. Very few people watch all of them. So, like, who are they? Who is this award show for? Is it for diehard movie fans? Then stop trying to cater it to the general audience. Is it for the general audience? Well, then you probably need to work on convincing the general audience to watch these movies.
yeah.
Because like I don't know, like because now it just feels disjointed. You have DJ Khaled on there hyping up the Oscars host at the beginning. Like, what is DJ Khaled doing at the Oscars?
Yeah.
And then all the hosts are always comedians. So and honestly, I thought the hosts did pretty well. They were funny. Uh, I did see Amy Schumer had stolen a joke off of Twitter again,
Oh my god.
but
Oh, she stole it off Twitter?
yeah, it was one of her. I forget which joke it was, but it's not the first time she's it's been shown that she reuses other people's jokes,
Oh, I didn't
which is
hear
a common
that.
practice. That's a common practice among comedians, but
Did you
it,
see
it's
was it that Alec Baldwin joke? Did you see
no.
that one? She made
Which
a
one was that?
she made a joke about Alec Baldwin, and it was having to do with the woman that he accidentally shot with that prop gun.
Oh yeah,
And they told her, no, you're not allowed to say that joke. So then she leaked it on Twitter afterwards, and it was a very like distasteful. Is that a word? That joke should like it's good that people told her do not say that because it was so messed up.
yeah.
And then she
That's pretty
leaked it
messed up.
anyways, and everybody was like, "What are you doing?"
So I just looked it up. The one that the joke she stole was that someone on Twitter had said Leonardo DiCaprio is so passionate about climate change because he wants to leave a better world for his girlfriends, which is a good joke.
That's a good joke. But you think nobody's gonna notice? Like, you
Yeah,
think
well,
nobody is gonna realize that you stole this joke?
and and it's that one I'm questionable on because it's like she did like it is almost word for word the joke that she
Yeah.
used, but also jokes about Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriends are fairly common.
Yeah.
He's a big time Hollywood celebrity who goes through girlfriends faster than I go through toilet paper. So yeah, so like I mean maybe she did come up with it independently, but this not being the first time she's been accused of stealing jokes, uh, makes it hard to say. But the reason I was mentioning the comedians was because like every Oscars there's a comedian hosting, and they always, always, always make fun of the actors that are in the room.
Yeah.
It happens every time.
Yeah.
So why was this the year that Will Smith decided to slap someone over it? Like no other actors ever gotten up and just hit a presenter, for cracking a joke. I don't know.
I think
It seemed like an
the
overreaction.
argument is that it's because she has like a skin disorder. It wasn't something like she purposely like wanted to shave her head. But I didn't know she shaved her head like all through the 90s. So she couldn't have been like offended that she did not have hair, because that was a look that she rocked for like
Yeah,
10
she
years.
looks good.
She looks great.
Um, in our comments here, Rinsler says, I felt it was a heated moment and can understand why he did it, but as much as a mature person that Will Smith is and everything that he has gone through with Jada and how their marriage isn't perfect, I do feel like maybe Will could have done that backstage or off camera. Yeah, exactly. And then you are correct. He did resign from the Academy, so he's no longer a part of the Academy. He has not given up his Oscar yet, but they were supposedly doing an investigation to determine what their next steps would be. At this point, I say just move on. That's the
Well,
best
and
course of action.
Netflix stopped working, like producing one of his shows, and something else he was working on got canceled. I mean, I think that's a little bit of an overreaction that he is getting
Oh, it
punished
definitely
like
is.
so much. Because it's not
Like,
like he just did it for like no reason, and it's not like he punched him or like caused blood. I mean,
I just think it
violence is
seems very
violence, but
hypocritical. We see Will Smith slap Chris Rock, and now like he's in danger of losing every project he's working on. Meanwhile, Ezra Miller gets arrested, again for another thing, and like, are they gonna cancel Fantastic Beasts? Is that
yeah,
is that movie not going to come out in a week? No, it
yeah,
definitely is. Like,
yeah.
so I don't know. It seems a little hypocritical that they act that way for some actors and not for others. But yeah, but that wasn't the only thing for the Oscars we wanted to talk about, or at least that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Well, we might have a differing opinion on this one, Jeff.
Okay, so I was excited to talk about this, and I'm okay if you have a completely different opinion from me
Okay.
on this one.
All right. So we're talking about the windshield wiper. Did it win the best
It did.
animated?
It won.
Okay.
It won Best Short. I
Oh
did
my
not
god.
expect it to win.
Okay. All right. The windshield wiper. Okay.
Won Best Animated Short, and this is to give you a little synopsis. It like the question. This whole thing is a series of like vignettes. It's 15 minutes long, and it's a series of vignettes about what is love, and not like what is love, baby,
Oh, that
don't
would have made
hurt
it so
me.
much better. I
That would
would
have
have
been
really
really
liked
funny,
that.
but no, but it asks you the question, what is love, and it looks at all the different uh, ways people approach love and types of love and all that stuff. Uh, it won Best Animated Short. So, and if you're at all curious out there to watch it, it is available on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you can watch it on YouTube. Uh, and I think it's worth watching to form your own opinion on it because it is pretty polarizing based on
Oh,
reviews
really?
on Letterboxd, which is why I wanted to talk about it with you. Was because some people like just hated it. It's like the biggest affront to them ever. And then there's other people who like, oh wow, this is a really like beautiful poetic look at love and how we view it, and I'm more in that camp. So I'm assuming you're in the I hated this was stupid camp.
Yeah. I was not a fan. I don't know if I just I at first I was thinking, maybe it's just too artsy for me. It's a little
It is artsy for
it
sure.
is artsy, but just little thing I hate like commentary on like social commentary. And the one thing that I really did not like is that so you have the man and the woman at the grocery store and they're both on their phones
They're,
and
yeah, they're swiping.
they're like on Tinder or whatever, and they're
Yeah,
swiping, and they're not paying attention. They're not looking at each other. They're just swiping on their phones, and then they get up and then they walk away. And then later in the show, you see the same two people, and they're doing the same thing, and then they happen to like match with each other, but they don't realize that they're standing next to each other because they're so busy on their phone. So then they're both like, "Oh my god, we got a match!" But then instead of accepting the match, they swipe away the match. Which, if you're on Tinder and you get a match, then why would you swipe away from it? I don't know. I've never been on it, but like I just hated that social commentary of everybody's so busy on their phones they don't see like what's around them. Like I get it, but I hate it.
That is the one thing that everyone who hated it seems to have latched onto. Like this
Uh,
review on Letterboxd, this is one of the most popular reviews. It says, guys, love is dead. We live in a society without love. Tinder bad. So there's stuff like that, and then another one that says, "Someone please help. I don't understand. Is he saying phones are bad? Is he trying to say that kids these days use their phones too much? Anyone, please explain this to me, because And my view of it is no, he's not actually giving a commentary on anything. He is literally just showing you the different ways people handle the approach to love.
but I feel like that was
And
such an
so it's not actually
exaggerated, non-realistic. I feel like everything else in there was pretty realistic, but that
you
was
don't
just
there's literally you don't remember a time on Craigslist where that was like missed opportunities or whatever they called it, where missed connections on Craigslist. Do you don't remember this at
mm,
all? This was pre Tinder. Uh, People would go on Craigslist and post, "You were wearing this and such, and we ran into each other at at the Kroger, and I was buying milk, and if you find this, here's my information, meet me up, hit me up, like misconnections. That's what that whole scene's about, is, a missed opportunity.
but it was not like, hey, I saw them from across the room and I didn't have the courage to actually speak with them. It's because they're too busy on their fucking phones. Like they're literally just standing there, not even reaching for the item because they're too busy on their fucking phone. I was stupid. I hated it. And then the song at the end was horrible. I hated it. That really sealed the deal for me. It was a stupid song.
I like the song.
Jeff, you would like the song.
Yeah. I mean, I was, like I said, I was surprised it won the Oscar, but let's see, what is this?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
I don't know
But
what that means.
so
Thank
I
you.
can't answer that
Yeah,
question.
thank you for the thoughtful insight. I don't understand.
But in any case, I think it's an interesting short, and they're like, I think the biggest issue with it is that people are going to find one uh, aspect of it that they didn't love, or two aspects in your case where you didn't love the last song and you didn't love the whole misconnections thing. But there's so much more to it. There are so many other, like the homeless guy who's talking to the mannequin that was I don't know, that was kind of like he's a drunk, but he's filled with regret, and I don't know, I found there was a lot of like emotionally resonant stuff to it, even beyond the cell phone commentary. But yeah,
Oh,
so
well, hold
that's
on 1 second. Thank you, Lou. Thanks for gifting a sub. I really appreciate it. It's their first gift of the sub. Thanks, Lou. Lou's my friend. He's cool.
and in the great, it went to Rinsler.
Yeah, and I went to Joel. Is it random when somebody gives stuff?
I don't know.
Oh.
uh, I don't think they necessarily pick someone. Maybe they do. I don't know. But yeah,
Anyways, I am really curious. I agree. I feel like if I would have taken that out, the whole Tinder cell phone thing, I probably would have liked it. Like, take out the song, took out that one scene with those two characters, I would have definitely liked it a lot more. But it really ruined it. But now I'm really curious to see the other shorts because if that one's better than all of those, I don't know.
well, I watched all the other animated shorts, and they're pretty messed up. There's some weird stuff.
Oh, well, now I've got to see them.
And then there was so like there's ones that are really weird, and then ones that are just like classic kids cartoon, shorts that was good, but like I don't know. The one that was really weird is called Bestia, and it's I without giving, I don't want to give anything away on it in case you do want to watch it, but the setup is this creepy looking like porcelain doll. It's like a claymation type of deal, and she has a dog, and she has an unusual relationship with this dog, and some really
Okay.
messed up, like dreams, and then I don't know. It's super weird. It's so weird.
I don't know. I gotta watch this one.
But yeah, so that's the windshield wiper, and I appreciate you watching that. I know that's another like weird thing. A lot of people don't watch shorts. Even people who do watch the Oscars generally don't watch the shorts.
I
But
mean, it was only 15 minutes and it was on YouTube. I mean,
exactly, it's
so
accessible.
yeah,
If they're all that accessible, I think more people would actually give them a shot.
yeah, for sure. All right. So next topic.
Oh, I guess I should ask.
Oh.
What would you rate it?
I don't know, like a 3.
Okay.
Yeah, 3. The animation was pretty cool. I like some of the characters, but I don't know.
I gave it a 9.
Wow, really? Wow,
yeah,
a 9. 9, okay. All right. That's
what I'm
pretty
saying.
different.
I think it's a very polarizing.
Yeah. All right.
I showed it to a couple other friends, and one of them he gave it 6 out of 10, which is okay.
That's pretty
But
good.
the other one gave it 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
So.
All right. We highly recommend every single person out there watch the windshield wiper for free on YouTube. It only takes 15 minutes of your life, and you have to let us know.
And then you can come back next week and tell me how much you hated it.
Post it on Twitter on the comments under my post of this. Let us know.
What's next?
All right, so what's next? Well, a little book that I have been listening to, The Hobbit. I have never read, I haven't even seen the Hobbit movie, so I had no experience with The Hobbit whatsoever, and I just recently started listening to it. I'm only like 5 or 6 chapters in, so I'm not very far. But it is my first experience with J.R.R. Tolkien in the first place. I have not read any of his books before. Have you? You've read it, right?
Yes, I've read The Hobbit, and I've read all the Lord of the Rings, all 3 of the Lord of the Rings trilogy as well.
Well, like I said, I'm not very far. But the reason why I kind of wanted to discuss, not necessarily so much discuss The Hobbit per se, because like I said, I'm not very far in it. But I did want to discuss the fact that I am listening to it on audiobook. I'm not actually physically reading the book. And I've had debates with some of my friends where we have discussed whether you listen to a book, if you're having a conversation with somebody, you say, oh, I read that book, but you actually listened to it, you didn't read it. Is that fair for you to say, oh, I read that book? Or should you say, oh, I listened to that book?
Okay, so I have a very easy, clear thought on this. When you were a child and your parents read you The Very Hungry Caterpillar, right? They read it to you and you listened, right? When you got older, you were like, oh yeah, no, I read The Very Hungry Caterpillar, right? You remember that book existing, and you remember it being, you would say that you read it. You never would say, oh, well, you wouldn't have to clarify my parents read it to me. You would just say, I read it. So I think that's fine. Just because now you're an adult and someone's reading it to you, how is that different than being a child and having someone read it to you?
See, I was of the same mind. I definitely thought, I think just in general conversation, if you do say like, oh, I read it, that's totally fine. But I have changed my mind on whether it is very different to listen to a book than to read it. And I especially think that this is a great example. It is narrated by, oh fuck, what's his name? Sorry. It's important for me to tell you who it's narrated by.
Okay.
God damn it.
So go ahead.
It's narrated by Andy Serkis.
Okay.
So
that was the voice of Gollum.
Right. So I didn't know that. So the reason, again, why I say this is really important is because there are 3 different versions on Audible of The Hobbit. There are 2 different narrators, and then there's the dramatic version the dramatization where it's only dialogue. They remove all of the narration. So it's just like the characters speaking to each other. Yeah, so that was really weird. But I got to listen to samples of the narrators before I decided which one I wanted to listen to. And one of them was like very boring. If I had to listen to the whole book with that narrator, there is no way I would have gotten through it. But then I listened to this one with, what is his name again? Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis.
And I really enjoyed the way he did like the different voices for the different characters. He would like sigh and breathe, if that's something like obviously not written in the book, but you know, you get that kind of general idea and emotion and stuff like that. So I'm listening to it, and there is the part where the dwarves are in Bilbo Baggins' little hobbit hole cottage thing.
Again.
And they start singing. And it's a huge difference, I think, that if you were to read them singing, but he actually sings the songs like the dwarves would sing it. So that is a very distinct difference between listening and reading. And I also didn't know that he was the voice of Gollum. So when he starts doing Gollum's voice, I'm like, holy shit, this guy is like really fucking good. Sounds just like the guy in the movie. But then Kat told me it was him. So, but that made me like listening to the book so much more, I think, than if I were just reading it. It just added a whole other level of like entertainment to the book.
I do think it's difficult, especially in books like The Lord of the Rings and in The Hobbit, where there are songs, or in Harry Potter. There were songs in some of the Harry Potter books as well. Anytime someone sings a song in a book, I don't know what tune they're singing it to. Like, I don't know what the music actually sounds like, so I'm just reading the lyrics, and half the time I think those sections feel bad when you're actually reading them. Like, this doesn't seem like a good song to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, just when you're just reading the lyrics. But oftentimes I think about, like, if you were to just look at the lyrics for some songs that you really, really like, they're probably pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Just reading just the lyrics.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, in that way, listening to an audiobook is superior. I would agree.
I definitely
than
think
actually
so.
reading it. But songs don't come up, you know, all the time. So I don't know, like, how much better. There is an issue I have with audiobooks sometimes, especially for books that I've actually already read before, and that's when the voices that they do don't line up with how I imagine the voices in my head.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't listened to this particular version of The Hobbit, but the audiobooks I listen to all the time are Star Wars books. I you know, I have all these Star Wars books up here, and I've read a lot of them, but in general I will buy the physical book, and then I will also get on Audible with my Audible credit. I'll get the audiobook version and just listen to that instead.
Yeah.
Because it's easier, and I can do it while I'm working, and no one ever gets mad at you when you're sitting at your office listening to an audiobook and still typing and doing work. But if you're sitting at your office reading a book...
But see, I think that's another really big difference. Another really big difference between reading and listening is if you zone out listening to an audiobook, or you like miss a part, you're like, oh shit, like what just happened? And you have to like rewind it and, you know, go back over it. But at least with a book, you're reading it and you're like, oh, I kind of zoned out. You just go back, you know, read a couple of, you know, sentences before that, and you're like, oh, okay, I got it.
That's true.
So
when I actually read, I don't think I ever just zone out. Maybe a little bit, but not like zone out for minutes on end like you might with an audiobook.
Yeah.
It's zone out for a couple of sentences. And usually once that happens, the first time I zone out, I'm like, oh, it's time for bed. Because I'm too tired to keep reading. So it's time for bed. I do most of my reading at night.
Yeah. I've been listening to this kind of like while I'm working, but in general, I work in silence. Like I don't listen to music. I don't listen to any audio because I'm thinking. And if I get distracted at all, if I start listening to something, I do feel like it's distracting. Even if it's music that I've listened to, like if I'm doing something like something math or like crafting for the most part, like if I'm Photoshop editing, it's usually fine. But like I can't concentrate on words and stories while I'm working. But it's hard to just sit on the couch and listen to a book, because then I kind of start like my mind is wandering and then I do kind of zone out. So audiobooks are hard for me because it doesn't really seem like a good time for me to really listen to it. And so it would be more beneficial if I actually was reading it. So In conclusion, I think there is a huge difference between reading and listening
So
to
there's a big
books.
difference, but does it still count?
Well, I think it still counts for sure, but it's just a matter of in language whether you are having a conversation with somebody. What it's important to clarify that you listen to it, whether you didn't read it.
Do you think it is important to mention how you consumed it?
I think that if you were having, oh, have you read The Hobbit? Oh yeah, I read The Hobbit. And if you keep talking about it, you should eventually say, "Oh, I actually listened to it," because your just experience is going to be totally different, in my
I think it's
opinion.
probably it probably is just easier to, like, if someone says, "Oh, have you read The Hobbit?" You say, "Well, no, I listened to the audiobook,"
Yeah.
and just say right off the top, because then the, there's not that moment later on where they're like judging you.
Yeah.
Well, you
False
didn't actually read it.
pretenses. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you knew how to read.
I don't know how to read.
But on the topic of The Hobbit, I know you said you haven't gotten very far, but what do you think so far?
I am really liking it. I The narrator is making a huge difference. My only other thing, I suck at riddles, but whenever Bilbo and Gollum are doing the whole riddles,
Riddles in the Dark.
there's no moment for me to try to like solve the riddle on my for myself. So I feel like maybe I kind of lost
Oh,
out a
yeah,
little bit
because in
on
the
that.
book you would read the riddle and then you could just stop and try to figure it out yourself.
Yeah. So another big difference between reading and listening. So
Good
I'm
point.
I'm terrible at riddles, so I never would have got any of them anyways. But the really just the voices and the way he like does the dialogue and everything, like I really, really am enjoying it. So I definitely think that I am enjoying listening to it more than I would have if I was reading it. But I know there is a huge tonal shift when you start getting to Lord of the Rings. So I'm really curious. That was my whole plan, was to read all the Lord of the Rings after this. So I am enjoying The Hobbit. So now I'm like, am I going to hate Lord of the Rings because it's going to be like so different?
No, I don't think you'll hate it. In fact, I think you'll like it better
Oh,
because
really?
I think The Hobbit is a little happier
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, it's a children's book.
of sorts.
Yeah, I mean,
But The Lord of the Rings is a lot denser uh, overall, and war is a much bigger part of it, and
mm,
you know, death and destruction and all that stuff. So it's cool. I like Lord of the Rings a lot.
yeah. I've only seen the movies once, and it was when they first came out, so I literally remember zero of any of them, and I never saw any of the extended cuts or anything like that. So,
Before the show comes out, you can watch the extended editions. I
yeah.
have them on 4K Blu-ray
When does
if
that
you're
come out?
interested. Later this year, I want to say like August, September, October, November. I chose
Okay.
4 months.
Yeah. So perhaps I have plenty of time to actually read all the books because
Yeah, you got time to read it.
I was talking to a friend of mine who is their favorite book series is Lord of the Rings. Like huge Lord of the Rings fan, knows all the lore. So I was asking him questions about the TV show and some of the controversial things. So I'm sure we will talk about those things. I'm trying to like read and catch up so that way whenever I watch the show, I can know if I should be offended or not.
Well, I look forward to finding out if you're
Yes,
offended.
yes.
Although I think in general, it takes a lot to actually offend you, so I don't think you'll be offended.
Yeah. So far, I won't be offended by anything from what it was explained to me. So I'm excited.
Well, Jen,
Wow.
let's talk about this graphic novel you've been reading.
Yes. So I read a graphic novel short story. Well, first it was a short story by Neil Gaiman, who I'm a big fan of. And then he got together with an artist named Colleen Doran, and they made it into a graphic novel called Snow Glass Apples. It's uh, basically based off of Snow White, but it's as if Snow White was the evil one and the queen was like the good one. And, the basic story about how she became the evil queen is all really a lie told by Snow White to all the people, which so kind of reversed their roles. Um, but So you guys want a little surprise announcement? Something I have not revealed yet. So you guys are going to be the first ones to know. Like a week or two ago, I was doing some polls, some little discussions on my Twitter about D&D classes. And the question
participated in those.
Jeff had some great answers. He really got me thinking. He was very descriptive, very good answers for sure. I was like, Jeff, you know so much. That's very interesting. So my questions were what class do you consider the most graceful? What class do you consider the most pure of heart? And what class do you associate with animals that is not a druid? And they were all hints to my next big costume. So I'm almost finished with my wizard bell. And since I'm going to Germany, I'm going to buy fabric to make a German costume as my next big costume. So the character that I'm going to do is Snow White. And because of I'm really enjoying making this D&D version of Belle, I thought I would do a D&D version of Snow White. So my discussion boards were for me to try to think of what class she would be. So everybody had really great answers. I tried to make that swashbuckler rogue fit so much. Because apparently there were a lot of German pirates. So I was super excited to make a German pirate Snow White. But she's just not a rogue. She's just not a pirate. It didn't fit her.
You use that for another princess later.
Yeah, so that was I really was trying to make that fit. But I decided that she is actually, I did a lot of research. I settled on the fact that she is a charm domain cleric. In the description, it literally says that her grace is so divine and inspiring. And so just the description, I don't have it written down, but the description of the charm domain cleric, as soon as I read it, it said the word charm and inspiring. And I was like, yep, well, that's it. Because at first I was going paladin, but then cleric with the domain really made a lot of sense. But somebody suggested, when I mentioned Snow White, not knowing the D&D crossover, I was like, hey, have you ever read Snow Glass Apples? So the art is just amazing. Colleen Doran was really inspired by an artist named Harry Clark, who does just the most intricate, amazing art and a lot of stained glass. I can't show.
It looks like stained glass.
Yes, he does a lot of stained glass stuff. I can't show you some of the pictures in this book because it's very naughty. So, yes, but. So this is one page that I really, kind of spoiler alert, but not really. So with her being evil, this is where she kind of is like a vampire. So she looks all sweet and innocent, but she actually has these really sharp teeth, and she bites and like drinks the blood. And, like in the story, the queen cuts out her heart. Well, gets her heart cut out, but it's still in the book. It's still like
I want to lower that out of the frame.
Oh, yeah, don't look at that. That was a bad page to be showing you. But her heart is still beating, even though it is cut out. So it's about, she still lives without her heart and how she like comes back and all this stuff. So it's a very interesting book. My complaint is that's not long enough. Like, it's a very interesting concept that I was really enjoy reading, but it's really not that long at all. So I was having a hard time getting inspired by this vampire sort of Snow White. There's one interesting costume for her, and it's the last page of the whole book. So I went back to my D&D concept, but I did decide to do the costume also inspired by Harry Clark's artwork. So I am taking some inspiration from this book for my new costume, and I'm going to do like crazy detailed fabrics and beading and stuff like that. So this is a really great book. Like I said, it's very interesting, really cool concept. I think it's like $10 on Amazon. It's not very, wow. Yeah, I want to say like the retail price is like $20, but I got it for like 10 on Amazon. It's hardcover. The colors are great. The
So
art
just
is
from what
great.
we saw there, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's really,
And it looks unique.
it's
Like,
very unique.
every time I read another Marvel comic or another DC comic, I'm like, yeah, this is just another Marvel, another DC comic. They all start to
Yeah.
kind of look the same. And this is coming from someone who likes the way those look, but they all kind of blend together. So when you get something that is kind of special looking, that's pretty cool. And you're a big fan of Neil Gaiman, right? So
Yes, definitely. Is it Gaiman? I always say Gaiman, but
I don't know. It
yeah,
might be Gaiman. It
I
might be
don't.
Gaiman.
Who knows? But what's
I only read his name on there. I don't know how
yeah,
it's pronounced.
he wrote this short story, like I said, and then he found this artist to he like specifically chose her because he liked her art style. And the last couple pages of the book are actually her commentating on some of her panels and some of her art and her inspiration and stuff like that. So as somebody who designs costumes and loves art, that was also really really interesting. So definitely for $10, really great buy. Um, like I said, my only complaint is that I wish it was longer because it was like a really cool, interesting storyline that I was really, would have definitely wanted more.
Is
But
it not set up to where there could be more made?
um, yeah, I mean, it's not. The story definitely
Maybe.
concludes. The story
Okay.
concludes for sure. And so if they made a sequel, it would be totally different
Okay.
than this, I think, because like the storyline would basically have to shift to something totally different. So it has a conclusion, and but again, I'm really glad that they adapted it into a graphic novel because the art really did sell the story to me. I feel like it's a short story. It would have been like 2 pages or something like that because the dialogue is spread out a lot
Right.
through a comic. But really great buy, really interesting. Um, so this is going to be one of my this design artwork is the inspiration for one of my next costumes.
So what would you rate it?
Man, I'm gonna give it a 9, and the only reason why it's not a 10 is because
Wow.
I genuinely do wish it was longer. But like the art is unique, the story is really interesting. Um, there's sexy time in it, if you're into that. But the cool thing about going to Germany is I'm actually going to the largest armor museum outside of Turkey. And so, me making a cleric, I'm going to take a lot of inspiration from the armor there, but kind of add more. I don't know if I'm going to add more detail. We'll see what kind of, details they
Maybe
put
it's
in that
already
armor.
detailed.
We'll see. So, this is going to be I am almost done with my wizard bell, but I'm definitely looking forward to this new one. It's going to be a really big inspiration from this book and my trip to Germany, and it's going to be my German costume. So I'm excited to go fabric shopping in Germany for stuff for this. So it's going to be exciting.
Very exciting.
Yes. You have to borrow it, Jeff. You have to read it.
I would like to read it.
Yeah.
But also for $10, I might just buy it myself.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not that
definitely worth
expensive.
it. Yeah. It's really worth it. And Amazon, I think I got it next day too. But damn you, Jeff Bezos. You got me by the balls,
Got us
man.
again. Okay, well, so there was only one other thing that I wanted to talk about uh, this week, and that was the new Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock movie, The Lost City, and also Daniel Radcliffe is in it. So
Oh, really?
Harry Potter's
Okay.
in it. And the premise is, I know this is super like going from Drive My Car to
Yeah.
talking about like a rom com, and this is like literally a rom com type of deal. But it's like, what if Indiana Jones was a rom com? That's what this feels like to me. Uh, it's not going to be for everybody. It certainly isn't going to be for Jen. Uh, but the premise is that Sandra Bullock is a romance novelist, and Channing Tatum is the cover model, like the Fabio for her all her romance novels. Uh, but she bases all of her romance novels off of like actual like ancient civilizations and people like hunting down treasure and stuff in these ancient civilizations. So she's writing about this lost city, and it turns out that she hits on some stuff is very real. And Daniel Radcliffe is a He's a Jeff Bezos type character who is like, a super rich, billionaire, and he wants to find this treasure. So he kidnaps Sandra Bullock to force her to find this the lost city's treasure. And then Channing Tatum's character, who is kind of like, he really just wants her to see him as more than just a dumb model, because she treats him like an idiot at the beginning of the movie. So he sets out to rescue her. Um, so like, it's a very cliche plot, but it's fun. And if you're looking for something, like if you're looking for like a decent date night movie that is pretty funny, it's not like uproariously hilarious all the time, but there are some scenes that I legitimately laughed out loud because it was funny. Uh, this is a great option for that, because like half the time with rom-coms, it's like they call them rom-coms, but there's nothing funny about them. And this one actually is kind of funny. So I wanted to shout this out as like an option for if you're looking for a date night movie, uh, and your girlfriend or your boyfriend is really into rom-coms. This might be palatable for more people. Like, it's pretty good.
You sure I wouldn't like it, Jeff?
I mean, I thought it was really fun, but you're so hard to predict, Jen.
I
Like,
know.
there's, I mean, it's kind of dumb, and so like for you, that could either be a good thing or a really terrible thing. So,
I mean, I would say I like dumb movies, but I only like best comedy movies like Zoolander, Tropic Thunder, and Joe Dirt. You know, there's a
which
level
are
of like
great.
wittiness to them, I think. Oh, hello. Well, okay, we have to shout this out.
Yeah,
First
you have
time
to do that.
chatter. Is that an I or an L?
I think it's an L, Lafitte.
Lafitte. Holy cow, you worked at Overground Comics? Yes, I did. I love those. Met John. Yes, I used to work for John. Oh, question mark. Yes, his name was John. At Comic Palooza one year and bought every one he had so far. Even have a poster on the wall of my classroom. That is so cool. Yes. Yes, I worked
What
for
did,
Overground Comics for
so
3 years.
what did you do for Overground Comics, Jen?
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess I was I don't know, I guess assistant editor in chief. I don't know. Like, I pretty much did everything except for write and draw. I
So you did.
flatted.
I was gonna say you did some flatting
I did
and some
flatting
inking,
and
right?
some lettering. I didn't ink. I just flat and lettered
Oh, okay,
and
okay.
like help run the Kickstarter and booked all the convention appearances. Did some cosplay from some of the characters. I was some on the comic book covers. Um, yeah, so I kind of like did it all.
That's cool.
It was really cool. I definitely owe a lot to Overground Comics. John was really great. He was a great mentor to me. I learned a lot. He taught me like Photoshop, which has really helped me now with my photography. A lot of stuff that I never like would have been able to figure out by myself or would have taken me like forever as I am not classically trained. He pretty much taught, it was kind of like, going to art school for 3 years. He taught me pretty much everything that I know about formatting and the industry. I was so lucky to meet a lot of industry professionals because of him. I know like the background of how to make comics and getting into Diamond and distributing. So I have a lot of insider knowledge and experience in the comic book industry, working for a small comic book publisher for 3 years, and all of that was because of Overground Comics and John. So really cool that you are a fan and you have some of our books.
Very cool.
Very cool.
And like, what are the odds that they would be tuned in to watch you?
And actually read my
read
about me. Oh my
right.
god, I can't believe somebody read that. Yes, cool.
Now I'm curious if your about me says you still work for Overground Comics or if it says you did work for. Oh, it does say you did. You worked.
Okay. All right.
It is past tense.
Yeah, I need to update that.
I was gonna say, because I know I don't update regularly.
My whole Twitch needs to be updated. I'm sorry. My whole life needs to be updated. My Facebook needs to be updated. I have like over 200,000 followers on Facebook, and I haven't logged onto that in like 5 years. Kat just texted me, "Hey, your last post got a lot of comments on Facebook," and I was like, "What?" Do my Facebook posts like gets tons of interactions, tons of comments, tons of shares? So I really
And
need
you
to
just don't
start.
look at it.
And I just never knew that I was growing so much on Facebook. So I really need to get back on there for
Does it
sure.
post automatically on there when you post on Instagram or something?
Yeah, it's an auto
Oh, okay.
post. Yeah. So I'm still technically posting. I just don't really read the comments or anything. But I'm gonna start being more
Well,
active on there.
people pick their social medias, right? They
Hmm.
pick which one they're gonna stay on,
Yep.
and you're not a Facebooker.
I'm just
You do it for the gram.
well, not even, I do it for the Twitter now. I'm not even really on Instagram. I hardly post on Instagram anymore since I've been shadow banned so long. It's not even
Oh, that's true.
the only reason why it's worth posting on Instagram now is because it links to my Facebook. So I'm trying to get better at posting on Instagram again, and so that way it links to my Facebook. So, but if you really want to follow me, Twitter, Jen Van Damsel, I definitely post every day, whether it's just a funny comment, a music suggestion, a movie review, or just random stuff that happens to me, but also a lot of my art and pictures and stuff like that. So most of that on Twitter. Jeff is
Right there.
also Jeff is
I
also on
am
social
also
media.
right there at Good Game Grizz. And if we're doing plugs now, I will shout out once again. Coming up on April 15th is my second annual birthday stream on my Twitch channel, where I'll be playing games with friends throughout the day. We're going to be playing all sorts of stuff, including Overwatch and Overcooked and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and who knows, some other random games in there. Jennifer, unfortunately, won't be able to join us because she will be in Germany,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yeah, sorry Jeffrey to miss your birthday. We'll celebrate when I get back.
Yes, we certainly will. And but yeah, so that I guess that's it, right? I mean, I guess I'll say last thing I'll say about the Lost City. I gave it an 8 out of 10,
Mm.
with the caveat that this is for rom coms. Like,
It's so Drive My Car was a 9 and The Lost City was an 8.
right. So Drive My Car is an actual 9 out of 10. And The Lost City is an 8 out of 10 for a genre that I don't typically enjoy.
But that's still good. That's still like
It
I
is still
said,
good.
Drive My Car. I'm not really into slice of life, and I still thought it was really great. So, I'm totally there for that.
Yeah. If you like Sandra Bullock's comedies, this is one of those.
I did
And
love Miss Congeniality growing up. That was one of my favorite movies. But then I did see her in a movie with Sofia Vergara a couple of years
mhm.
ago, and that was horrible. I hated it. So I don't
Well,
know.
I think the reason this movie's doing so well with the ladies is because ladies, for the in large part do like Sandra Bullock, but
Or
they
Channing
love
Tatum.
shirtless Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in this movie, which this maybe I don't know if you're a Channing Tatum fan or not, Jen,
Mm.
but there's a scene where they're walking through a river and he gets leeches on him, so he takes off his shirt while they're pulling off the leeches. But then they have to check his butt for leeches as well. So there's that. So,
Oh wow. Channing Tatum's butt. You can all see it in the Lost City.
so if that's a thing you're into, or your significant other might be into, treat them to it. Why not?
I like that, Jeff. Nice positivity.
Yeah, so I guess that's it for this week, huh?
That's it. That show went by pretty fast. I feel like we talked about a lot of stuff.
We
And
sure did.
yeah, we had great conversations about all of it. We just went
And
pretty fast
and
today.
honestly, we ended up about the same time we stop normally, like maybe just a little bit short of some of our other ones, but yeah, almost made it the hour and a half that we usually do.
Yeah. And I feel like we had a great show. We definitely got some good recommendations out there. And you have to I please if you're out there, watch the windshield wiper on my post where I advertise that we're doing this show. Comment if you watch it, comment. Only 15 minutes. It's free on YouTube. We would love to hear what you have to say about the windshield wiper.
I
So,
really would be interested.
yes, I would love to hear it. So please
But so Jen, you're going away.
I'm going away. I leave Saturday for 2 weeks. So I'm,
So this is the short way of saying we won't be doing the show next week or the week after.
or probably the week after because I get back on I get back on a Saturday. I get back on the 23rd, and so then the next show would be the
Yeah, but then
27th.
like, are you going to have time to have watched anything for us to talk about for that show?
Yeah,
Point is, it may be a while before we do another If You Ask Me.
yeah.
But
It might be
as
the
always, follow Jennifer on Twitter, and you'll
yes,
know when we're going to do the show again.
yes.
And also, you know, if you have ideas for things that you think we would like, if you've been watching us, for a while now, certainly if you've been watching Jen, you probably have some ideas of things she might like. Give us
Or not
suggestions,
like.
or not like. Throw us some suggestions. We'd be happy to consider them for things to watch because we that's what we want. We want to be able to talk with people about these things, and like this episode, yeah, Drive My Car, Windshield Wiper. Most people probably haven't seen those, but this time I'm trying to encourage people to step out of their comfort zone a little bit, try something new. But that doesn't mean the next time we're not just going to talk about movies that we've all seen 1,000 times that we love, like when we talked about Die Hard.
Yeah, we talk about current, fresh things, and we talk about a lot of older stuff too. So we're totally open. I think we read Saga before because it was a recommendation by somebody. So yeah, drop us any suggestions you have for movies, TV, games, comic books, stuff.
Stuff.
It's just stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
Oh,
don't
no.
recommend music.
Don't recommend music. Well, no, I will hate it. The thing is, I will hate it, and then I'll have to tell you, wow, that band, that's your favorite band, really fucking sucks. I don't review music for other
It is
people.
weird because it's like music is so much more personal to people.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like the same music they do and you say that you don't like that, it hurts way more than someone saying that they don't like your favorite movie. At
Yeah.
least that's my opinion. Like, oh, you don't
No.
like my favorite movie, fine. But if you don't like my favorite band, it's like, oh, you just don't understand my soul.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's definitely a thing.
Okay, Rensler says we should talk about Moon Knight. I haven't seen today's new episode, but I did watch the first episode last week, and I thought it was pretty good. Uh, so I'll watch this second one, Jen, and I'll text you, and I'll let you know if this requires any other MCU watching, or if it's pretty
Uh,
standalone. Because if it's standalone enough, then maybe yeah, you can watch it, and maybe you'll like it.
if it's
We
standalone,
definitely
I'll
should.
watch it. If it doesn't have anything to do with any of the other MCU stuff, because I haven't seen any of it since Infinity
Black Widow.
War. Oh, yeah. But I didn't see Endgame, so I have to go back to. Oh, Black Widow was like the fucking worst. That made me so angry, that movie. Um, yeah, so perhaps we will watch Moon Knight, depending on whether it requires me to watch any things. Oh, by the way, guys, make sure you're checking my social media tomorrow. I'm getting my hair done tomorrow. So this is the last time you'll ever see this dark hair. Okay?
I mean, let's not say ever.
Well, not ever. Not ever. But it'll be different tomorrow. It'll be very different tomorrow. So make sure you check it out.
Chris has asked me, what are your thoughts on the TMNT Cowabunga collection? I'm really stoked about this. I was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan as a kid, and they're releasing a collection of like all of the old Ninja Turtles video games,
Oh, wow.
and I'm so excited for that one myself because some of them have online multiplayer. So
Oh,
I'm pretty stoked.
yeah.
That'll probably be among things I stream because I'm looking forward to that one. But
Maybe
yeah,
we'll
it
have to
looks like
play that one.
everyone's got predictions on what your new style's going to be, unless you already
Well,
told people.
on Only Hams, I have been talking about it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So, people that are in the know, but otherwise,
Well,
it'll be a surprise.
Yeah. But yeah, so check it out on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. Tomorrow. Yay.
Hey, bye.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming and thanks for hanging out with us. Hello to all you new people over around comics. OG fan over here. So, thanks for coming, Joel, Chris. I think Sir Plunk was here earlier. Okay, we're leaving. Okay, bye everybody. See you in like a month.